apartment. Smells of rich mahogany.
That's you, because you never won anything.
This was the largest audience to ever witness an inauguration, period.
And I think there's a snobbishness with reading books. They are a bit outdated. They're a little bit like playing the spoons and tap dancing and the theatre. In that they were good once, but things have moved on.
Hello and welcome to a new intro. That's good.
I love that. That's really good.
Someone's in lockdown.
Someone's in lockdown here going mental.
Some new energy. Welcome to the Under the Sticks podcast, brought to you by Pro 14 Rugby, where we endeavour to deliver half-baked opinions served up delightfully as authoritative rugby analysis. Joining me is a little cold there in Wales. It's Sean Holley. How are you?
No, this is purely and out of respect in celebration of a brilliant weekend's rugby in the Guinness Pro 14. Thoroughly enjoyed it, all the games. And, for all those doubters out there, there were some brilliant performances on show without internationals. All teams contributing to a range of good rugby. And, I just thought I'd celebrate it. And I've just been out for a run. So it is quite cold in Wales. So a couple of Guinnesses tonight, I could get into an angry Holley state.
That was a party political broadcast brought to you by the Guinness Party.
Yeah.
Mr. Dean Butt, how are you?
Yeah, really. I had a long day actually. Had a sick dog on my hands this morning, so played daddy daycare and been cleaning up spew all day. Did manage to sneak out for a little round in the afternoon, but before the rain came. But it was a bit of a long day with the sick little Dewey.
Oh,
yeah.
Bit of a downer. Paul Williams, welcome back. You have to lift us up. You have to lift us up.
He's still alive, so we're all good.
I'll take that dead dog hand grenade. It's good to be back. I missed 1 week. This was an amateur shambles when I left. And now it's got full titling, countdowns. This is unbelievable.
Everybody said it was really good last week without you.
I know, can imagine. I would have enjoyed it better without me. No, it's really good. I'm glad to be back on.
Yeah, we had to get two different people to replace you, though. That is the value of you to the show, mate. It really is. Tonight on Under the Sticks, we will run through. We'll be talking Connacht. They did some bad things up in Murrayfield. We'll be talking about the Monday night rugby that we witnessed. That was pretty good. That'll play a little part of Holley's heroes. We'll see who really caught the eye of Coach Sean over the weekend. Lions kit is out. Not really sure if it's going to be red or red. Champions Cup draw. We'll try and talk you through what that actually means. Was your team in Pool A or Pool B, and how do the fixtures actually work? We'll make it easy. And the baa-baas did not cover themselves in glory. Well, some of them didn't cover themselves in glory during a pandemic. Six Nations were building up to that. There was action last weekend. There will be action this weekend. We'll do a build-up. And Paul has some info regarding the Ospreys and Melania Trump. A little shout out to some of the regulars who are already leaping into the show here. We're going out live on the Guinness Pro 14's social channels. Sean bit the heating on from Jared. That is a very fair comment. Michael Jenkins, hi from Pembrokeshire, West Wales, UK, as you regularly are. Is it? I always get this wrong. Is it Howell? Davis?
Yeah, Howell.
Yeah, Howell.
Yeah,
I'm learning. An agenda to keep to. No promises at all, Howell. No promises we'll stick to this in any way. Chiefs girl, how are you?
Hey, Chiefs girl. Kia ora.
Haven't seen you in a while. This is great. Because this is a long-term regular. This relationship, it's come on back, lads. So crack on. Firstly, go on, Dean.
Andrea, buonasera. Gotta keep the Italian fans happy as well.
Oh yeah.
Non c'è tanto da fare. Che they're very much in a lockdown after 6 o'clock there in Italy now. So maybe our fan base will start growing there.
That's not really the correct profile picture, and it's not Andrea, it's Andrea.
Andrea.
It's Andrea.
Andrea from
Holley.
Portugal.
Andrea Portugal.
I'm not sure if the local MP for the Guinness party is adding to the show right now. We'll see what the next can does, Tom. Right. Okay, let's crack on. We had some Guinness Pro 14 rugby at the weekend. It was pretty good. Started well, and it finished well. Connacht went up and did some good things up in Murrayfield against what we know is a very good Edinburgh setup, Sean.
Yeah, you look at the fixture and you look at Edinburgh start and you think, all right, it's going to be a steely Cockers coaching week and they're going to be hard to beat at Murrayfield. I watched the game live and I got to say, from minute one, Connacht just took the game to Edinburgh. You know, Edinburgh sneaked in front a couple of times, but just couldn't just keep them at bay. They were insatiable. They attacked from everywhere. Anything that was loose, they were on to. I thought the back row was amazing, buddy. They were just fantastic. You know, so tenacious they are, and you know, they were deserved winners. You know, they blasted them away in the end. I think Connacht, are onto something. They got a good spirit there, good players, and don't lose that many really. So, yeah, watch out for them.
Yeah, it was good, and it was something really interesting. 3 grubber kick tries in the game. So it's a piece of skill I love seeing. And T1 down under. I think he's quite appropriately asking: is Quillan Blade the sharpest 9 in Ireland?
I love him.
The way he took that, Paul, was really, really slick.
I love him. Do you know, I've written a bit about him in my column this week. And particularly, I like him because he's so small. He's listed at 5'7", right? Which we all know is a total lie in the programme, right? You might as well believe a medieval butcher in terms of measurements, right? He's about 5'5", that lad, right? You can see just by looking at him on the field. And I did a little bit of research. The average height in the top 14 in English Premiership is 5'9" for a scrum half. And then in the Pro 14, it's 5'10". And if you think he's 5'5", 5'7", he can get through gaps like no one else.
You can run on the legs.
But you know, the analogy I use, an octopus can get through a gap any size bigger than its eyeball, right? That's how they get through stuff. And he's almost the same. And the way he was just sneaking into a tiny little gap that you wouldn't... That break he made down the blind side was unbelievable. And then what he's doing isn't like making another 15-yard break from that. He's getting into that little gap and then putting in these beautiful little kicks. I thought he was fantastic. I really did.
Well, they were good because they mixed their play up. They went pick and go, and then you can see the intent. Lovely little kick through, you know, for a score. It was always close to the line. It was almost rugby league-esque. You can see Andy Friend, you know, thinking, you know, how are we going to break down this Edinburgh defence who are obviously going to be charged up for the week. They played with width and pace. You know, it was a bit of fortune here because the winger slipped. But, you know, look at the gas to get away. This kid's on loan, isn't he? But, yeah, lots of good things. Poach was fantastic. The back row, as I said, you can't leave anything loose to Connacht. You've got to watch out. And just a vision, you know, we talk about Quillan Blade. There he is in the pink
This is the
boots.
one. Watch this now.
You know, and he sees it. He feigns one way. He grubbers it through. You know, his legs are going like the clappers, but it's brilliant vision from him. Really is. You know, he's lucky the scoots out, but he knows that the winger's moved. The 8 has been sucked in. And the second one, well, it's just either off the training field or it's called in play. I got a feeling it's a play they've been working on. Here it is from the maul. The left winger comes on his shoulders if to give a little pop pass. And that's so difficult to defend. And yet the kick has to be, you know, right in the right place. Brilliant scores.
Yeah, I really enjoyed seeing the kicking game coming into Connacht because, I mean, a lot of teams now are running that rush D, and just to have an accurate kicking game like that can hold up the D. It can put that fullback in 2 minds whether if he has to come narrow and then create an extra number wide so you can start playing the ball wide, and it checks line speed. We'll talk about it later with some of the Six Nations, how Ireland defended against Italy. But it's just such a massive weapon, and it can just create a little bit of doubt for the defending team, slows them down and just gives you a little bit more time on the ball and attack. It's not just scoring those tries, it's creating a lot more indecision in defensive lines later on in the game as well.
Can I ask Sean one of my weekly coaching things? You know, with scrum halves, is it a benefit with little short sniping runs like that to have, because they've obviously got shorter levers because they're like 5'6" to 5'9"? Are they able to execute kicks quicker than, say, a scrum half like Mike Phillips or Murray? Are they able to, or is that like a nano detail that no one
I
cares
think
about?
it is a nano detail, mate. I think it all depends on the skill set of the individual. Mike is a very good kicker, you know, long, high, out of hand grubbers. The old Gareth Edwards 8-9 kick we used to call it. But you know, I suppose Blade he's quite close to the ground, so he can drop the ball onto his foot really quickly. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's not something that's part of your selection criteria as a coach, I would suggest. But one thing you notice about all those little kicks for tries, the ball is kicked almost at the top of the ball, end over end, so you get that you know, like on that last try, the ball bounces up. You never know what a rugby ball is going to do, but end over end, so they're going to run over or it's going to pop up at some point. And you know, so they are practiced. I always used to say to my players at the Ospreys when we played Connacht, all week, boys, back rowers and all backs, you practice all your kicking and all your aerial and all your ground skills, extras before and after every session, because a lot of these boys grow up playing Gaelic football. Right. They understand space. They understand, you know, time and kick and coincidence, where the ball's landing, bounces the ball, getting in the air. We've got to match that. When Tommy Bowe arrived at us, he gave us a bit of that because, you know, they get that bit of upbringing. But always Leinster, Connacht, Munster, aerial skills, kicking skills all week.
That's interesting. That's like Dennis Rodman. He spent nearly 2 seasons just throwing basketballs off the rim and finding out where they came off. So just pinging them off and seeing if it hit there, where would it go? And that's how he became the best rebounder virtually in the league.
That's the story he stuck to, and he just went missing for days.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
He
was doing it in Vegas.
This brings me back middle of lockdown, and one of the things that brings me back to is we're seeing regulars come in that we really didn't expect when we started doing these show live. Seb Negri, welcome back.
Seb Negri,
slimmer and slimmer every week.
Yeah, I think it's the subs he sent me from Zimbabwe. Actually, I'm not sure they're street legal. He had to send them to my neighbor here, and with a no name on them, and I just had to damn them from the postman to
ultimate orange.
Yeah, but no, it's he'll be looking good in his beer hug gear, no doubt. He'll be all kitted up. He was pretty happy that all arrived.
Little bit. Chiefs girl asking if Holley and McGeady had haircuts looking sharp. Yes, we did, because both Wales and Ireland went into to lockdown again for a while, and we both said, "Cut it off, Barbara, cut it off." Bowden Barr did spend some time over here. Yeah. I think there's a bit more than that to it, but we'll see. I'm going to zip through to a couple of the things during the weekend in the Guinness Pro 14, so stop me when you want, okay? Straight to Leinster demolishing Zebre. We're going to spend not much time talking about Leinster because I think we expected Leinster to do very bad things. Paul, what did we not expect from Zebre in this game?
What I think is the most beautiful try of the weekend, but which will never ever really get talked about, because I always think if you score a beautiful try and you lose, that try disappears into the rugby ether. But it was so beautiful. It was an immaculate try. So we're gonna go
Zebre first, and then we're gonna go Leinster, right? Because this try deserves everything we get. So Adam, can you roll the Zebre try when you can? Here we go. Sean, Paul, do your thing.
Yeah, so it was a little chip. Watch this step. Look at that. And then it's straight off the left peg into the corner. And then it was Michelangelo, wonderfully named, to finish that little bit of artwork. It's I thought that was that's got everything I want from a try, that has.
That's Serie A, isn't it?
Look at that step as well, though. It's just...
It should be noted, Ritzy's not even left-footed either, so that's off his wrong foot.
Wow. Oh, my God. He's a good player, that Ritzy.
Yeah, he's got a lot of talent.
Yeah. So they could be
even better.
You think of him and Garbisi, they've got 2 tidy 10s coming through there now.
Yeah, no. Ritzy's a little bit older, and he's got all the skills, got all the attributes. Sometimes the head's not quite on the right place. That's his little issue that he's got to work on for the moment. But he's really can do some good things.
Okay, Sean, to the Leinster side, Holley's heroes.
Yeah, Holley's heroes. We've labelled something this week. Just I picked out a few things. Caelan Blade and Connacht were one, but for Leinster, it looks on the scoreboard routine, but they're playing just so fast. They are just chugging through. And this guy, Scott Penny, look at the legs on him, the leg drive, right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, we had Max Deegan, then we had Caelan Doris, then we had Josh van der Fleer, then we had Will Connors, and now we got this kid, right? He's unbelievable. His leg drive, he clears out and then picks up the score. You find him on the wing. Look at him here. The guy was only just called up to the 20s, I think, last season or a season ago. He scores tries for fun. About a season or two ago, he played about 5-6 games in the Celtic Cup for Leinster A. He scored 8 tries. This guy's an open side, so he's playing because Will Connors is playing for Ireland, as is Josh van der Fleer. This is their third choice, and he is better than a lot of other sevens in the league already. Scores out wide, scores close, great leg drive, powerful with his legs. Watch him here, clears out.
Look at that clean out.
Right? Yeah, what a leg drive on the guy, and then he gets up, right? He gets up, picks the ball up, and scores.
Yeah.
Right. This is the guy, so I love players who do next. One of my sayings, do next, or repeat efforts or second touches. And he's already in that category. Will Connors has only just burst on the scene, and he's another one. They just keep, they just keep producing these animals, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, when his name came up when we were speaking about it for the show, I had a YouTube of him, and he started talking about the centre of excellence that they have at Leinster, and it had a few clips of the setup they've got there, and it just made sense why they're producing so much talent.
Yeah,
he spoke about just the facilities they have are better than for their academy players are better than some of the professional setups across Europe, and he spoke about how that just as a young player coming in shows you what they're investing into you and makes you want to be there and makes you want to do well for them. And so I think the system and the amount of talent they can produce, they're doing things very well there at Leinster, and it's incredible.
And and you think of the impact. Oh, sorry, I was just going to say, just the impact of all those back row forwards as well. Do you see Peter O'Mahony's offload on the weekend? I've never seen him do stuff like that before in the past 10 years.
It's looked like he was going out for a game of touch.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, he's obviously thinking, I've got to do something different now, because there are 7 players who could take this shirt off me, and I've just got to change my game. So it impacts everything in Ireland, doesn't it?
And who else arrived back in that Leinster game for Dan Levy? So there's a man from back.
Dan Levy. No.
It's extraordinary. Firstly, to even be playing professional rugby again after that knee injury he has is magnificent. So super effort, Dan Levy. Hope to see you back at the very top end of the game and really getting into the international pointy end of things again, because there is a player just great to watch when he's on form. Now, keep rolling through. So Ulster beat Dragons 40-17. Ospreys 23-15 over Glasgow. Scarlets 10-3 at Benetton. Some decent wins there, gents.
Smash and grab in Benetton. It was a sticky old game, 3-0. I think it was at half-time. Ian Keatley, friend of the show, missed a chance to go 6-0, which could have made the difference. But Scarlets defended really well. They kicked the arse off the ball. That's what they did, and waited for a turnover chance, and they got it, and they took it. But they got a red card. Morgan Jones, shoulder to the face, and they had to defend for their lives at the end. And Benetton will rue that, but you have to admire their defence.
I mean, that try that they've scored, they've gone 60 yards off a Benetton error. It's just sums my heart just fell out of my chest watching that. It just sums up Benetton, and it just made me feel like nothing's ever going to change for them. They just fight, do everything so close to finishing the game. Take a draw. It was a horrible game. No team deserved to win it, and then they just do a dumb error, and that's compounded by some really good skills from the Scarlets to produce some good passing and get it wide after that to score the try. But
that card was rescinded today as well.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah,
it was soft.
I see why. It was soft, but I mean, you make the call on the day. They slow-moed it. They went back and forth. You made the decision,
Yeah.
Anyway, it could ignite Scarlet's season because it showed on the field that it meant a lot to them. Go back to the Ospreys, Andy. Did a quick thing for Welsh TV this week. The young guns, young players. You had Ruben Morgan-Williams at 9, Kieran Williams at centre, Matt Prothero on the wing, Harry Morgan came off the bench, Dewi Lake at hooker. All these guys stepped up against Glasgow. They went behind in the game. Could have been a sticky situation. So, it looks like, thank goodness, about time they bled in some young local talent, because I made the point that that's what we built our success on was that, and then add the experience and the overseas gold dust. But you need that core youngster. So that was a good win for them. 2 out of 3 now. They seem to be scratching their way back a little bit.
We'll roll on to Monday night rugby. We talked about this last week. For anyone who didn't tune into the show last week, it was very interesting, because anyone who was a current or former player, not so happy with the concept of Monday Night Rugby.
I bet, because it ruins your weekend, and you can't go out on the slash on the Saturday or Sunday.
There you go, you understand. I needed you last week. I was just left in the cold.
Yeah, I spoke to a few players privately on when they announced those fixtures, and everyone's like, "Oh man, that's how a Sunday session's finished in Cardiff." But I thought it was fantastic. I loved the entire thing from start to finish.
Good game, though. Good game. And Ben Healy, who might go, I'll hark back to some of our chat in our watch-alongs for Super Rugby Aotearoa. He might slip straight into that team as one of the best red-headed players around already.
Absolutely. He could get in at 10. But I think what was great about both Healy and Jared is that they were playing like rugby from the 70s. It was all steps and all line breaks. And I know obviously there was kicking and all the basics done in there. But both of those, particularly Jared Evans, he stands so flat and he just looks to break the line every time. And it doesn't work all of the time, but when it does, it's a line break and they're straight through. Well, and you look out, I know he's got a lot of good options outside him. It helps having Willis Halaholo and Ray Lilo, and there are players all around him creating options. But I just like watching him play.
Well, I mean, you mentioned about scrum halves earlier having a bit of a low centre of gravity, and this is what Jared has got. But he's got one thing that Buddy will, when he was playing in the back row, he'd probably hate to play against the likes of Jared Evans, because he's got acceleration and he's got a great show and go, and he's done it all through his young career, and he's got a great step. He's he's a tough bugger, he is, right? And he gets out of sticky situations. He's got his faults. His kicking game isn't quite up to scratch, but he's a tenacious, fast show and go. He can see it, and he's very difficult to bring down because he has that low center of gravity. How about that step from Summerhill, by the way?
Man, it's beautiful.
And in this game, he created 2 tries. Look at this. He has, the guy. He's got a good head on him. He's from the valley. He's a tough kid. This was a bit of a loose kick. It got a lucky bounce for Josh Adams, but he's showing intent. The next kick is a good one. He's clever. He's more and more experienced, and now he's got the bit between his teeth because he was omitted from the Welsh squad. Harshly, in my opinion. Look at this. Show, go, the hips. It is a throwback to the 70s. He's almost like a Barry John Phil Bennett type player, which he's not afraid. He sees it, he shows, and is away. He's away. Lovely quick feet, away, guile. This kid has got it all. Now, if he can just shore up his kicking game a little bit, he should be playing for Wales, because he's that sort of player. Callum Sheedy does this sort of thing in the English Premiership, and everybody lauds about him, So look, from his own line, bang, he's a nightmare to defend because he got a fend and an acceleration. So Jared Evans, I think, could well find himself off the back of his recent performances getting called up.
Yeah, and the other thing about him, I know he is quite short in terms of height, but he's pretty solid. Into like his lower half, he's got a bit of an undercarriage. He's not he can take a bit of a bump. So it's not like a sort of Matthew Morgan who could do that. But then when he got trapped, he'd get in a bit of trouble. Jared Evans can sort of bounce his way out of trouble.
Yeah, that second acceleration, very Dan Carter-esque. Just the no look, and boom, you get it right in the middle of your chest, and you look like an idiot. So,
exactly,
pretty sharp.
Now, we can't leave that game without talking about the Munster basketball try.
Oh God!
Okay, it's a thing of absolute beauty, and I know for one, I saw the Munster social media team put up like a fast, slow version from behind the try line of that try. My God, it was absolute. Dino, it was brilliant.
Yeah. Oh, special, pretty special. It's like we're saying, it's becoming very much like a bit of a Super Rugby game and this weekend. So, yeah, roll the clip. Let everyone see it who hasn't.
Look at that. The
So you
big
got a hand. You
question
get.
is, are they
Delanda
offloads
comes
or
in.
passes?
Are they what?
Right, I get a bit finicky with stuff like this. Are they all offloads or are some of them passes?
Good question.
Right.
Well,
That's
an offload.
That's a pass.
No, I say an offload's anything in contact.
Yeah. Fair enough.
100%. Passes before contact. The offload is in contact.
Yeah,
but
they
go
are all
back to what I was saying earlier. Who made the first pass? This guy.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Was he at the start? Was he?
Second touch, right? So
that one
there he is, right? And 3 passes later, he's on the end to score the try. That's added value, and that's good bench work coming off the bench and doing that. And of course, Diolande, what a great signing! The guy that you said, Paul Williams, was a crash ball centre.
As you remember when Sean said he's nothing but a Bok crash ball unit?
No, that's exactly what you said. It's exactly what you said.
Dean, before you joined, I said that he was a perfect. I said that he was a perfect signing for Munster because he likes contact and he's a bit crash bally. Ever since he's been offloading like Conrad Smith, that didn't come out quite to plan.
There was so much to like about that, because even Diolande, when you see it, and you see some of this really well from behind the try line, when you see Diolande cut in before he offloads and then sweeten him the way he comes in and does the pirouette, and it's almost balletic at times. It's that good, but the way that the Munster players are coming and following that and looking for the pass as well, that's half of it. Like that, it's those support lines.
Do you know the real beauty of that is that it all came on the back of like 3 or 4 maul tries. So it's not as if that's their only option. It's obviously not that flinging it around like Cardiff Blues or the Hurricanes. They've got that as well. So that's what you're looking for.
I was going to say, that's why, at the start, what an advert for the Guinness Pro 14, because the Blues scored right off the bat, and it was a training field play. Jared Evans goes through, Ray Lilo. All of a sudden, you think Munster, and we've on the pod talked about Munster and been unable to put the Leinsters away in the 22 and this, that, and the other. But first penalty Munster had in kickable range, they went for the corner. They showed their intent early on and got those sort of hard-nosed Munsterish maul tries, pick and go tries. Blues never went away, scored a couple of other great tries, another one straight off the training field. But Munster then got into the game and showed that they can, play that way as well as, dare I say, the traditional Munster way. So it had it all, really. I felt sorry for the Blues. I thought Munster deserved to win because they scored 3 tries, threw everything at Munster and came away with nothing.
Not a single thing. They played well, Blues. It was a great game, though. And going back to that Monday night thing, everyone hates Mondays, especially now. They're double crap, aren't they? COVID Mondays, what's worse than that? Whereas at least you got something to look forward to in the night now, a bit of rugby. It made my Monday last week.
Can I offer one? Can I offer one counter?
No.
I have enough. I have enough trouble trying to negotiate match watching time on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yeah, there is that.
A little bit, buddy.
No, I was just someone said in the comments earlier about the cans not having the bubbles in it. Has yours got the bubble, the magic little thing in there? Yeah,
we've got one.
Yeah.
3 games this Monday. This is correct. So let's run through before we move off the Guinness Pro 14. On Sunday, Dragons Munster, Connacht Benetton, Scarlets Edinburgh, and then on Monday, Cardiff Ulster, Zebre Ospreys, and Glasgow Leinster to round us up. That's quite nice. I might negotiate that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a festive rugby, isn't it? We've got obviously the internationals that we're going to talk about. Then we've got the Guinness Pro 14 Monday night. So Goodness me, I'm going to be bloated with rugby come
My
Monday night.
planner looks like he said it's Ed kicked in. It's recorded about 10 games every day.
I think it was, and we got Tri Nations to start as well. I mean, this is
Tri
going to
Nations.
be a lot of fun. We can't even get that today, lads. If you want to ask about it in the comments, it's up to you, but it's not in the plan.
It's not in the plan.
Lions kit. The Lions kit is, drum roll, please. God's colour. Yeah.
Oh, it's red. Can you believe it's red? Oh, yes, we've done it again. We've won it again.
I love it.
Yeah, I love the little lines on the sleeves. I think that's
beautiful.
Cool.
Do you know, as I've said before, because I work in advertising in my day job, and design's a part of that. That's one of the toughest briefs in the world, the lion shirt and the all black shirt, because you can't change anything, and yet it's got to be different.
So the lion on the arms and the shoulder is made up of small shards, yeah? And correct me if I'm wrong, there's a certain number of shards that represents all the players that play for the Lions, is it?
Yes, that's it, yeah. All of, what's the tank Endland? I should remember.
All of us, or something like that.
Yeah.
We are one, or
we are all, or something like that, yeah.
Gentlemen, do you know what that is? That's bollocks. Right?
I know. Well, that's the thing, because you can't change the design. You have to literally weave a story into it.
And that's what they do. So every new, I find it hilarious. Every new press release that comes out with a kit, there's something about the story behind the design, and like they come up. God bless the imagination, because you're right. They do it to find some way of selling this by saying, "I came up with a different kind of shade of red." So fair play. It'll sell, and hopefully the Lions tour will go ahead, hopefully with crowds, please God.
Oh God.
And we can all talk about Lions teams some other day. Remember Leinster Spears? Do you remember the unicorn jersey? And I'm not talking anymore about the unicorn. Certain people will get what I mean on that, and I'm not going anymore. Next up, speaking of international rugby, that may or may not take place. This one did not take place. The Barbarians, I think 12 of the Barbarian squad managed to get the match called off because they went out for a meal and a few pints outside the bio bubble for the England match. This was not smart. This was not smart at all. And I tell you what, if I was one of those people that my career might be freelance or something, I was depending on money from that game, I'd be pissed.
Oh, absolutely. And the other thing is, they're staying in the Grosvenor. So I know the Barbarians is all about pro rugby and amateur in the night, but just stay in the hotel. Do you know, you haven't got to go
in the middle of Mayfair, mate.
But you want to get smashed up with the boys? Just stay in the hotel. You're in a 5-star hotel. Just stay in there. Well, the food can't be that bad in the Grosvenor.
Do you really think they went out for dinner?
No. No.
The video I saw, I feel like there's maybe more than 12. I think a few maybe have snuck back in and
definitely
didn't get counted for.
And it's funny.
Am I right, buddy? Am I right in saying there was a fair sprinkling of Kiwis?
Yeah, he did.
Kiwis in
this one back right in the middle. Yeah. And Scottish. I think Scottish were the worst culprits. There's no one here to defend themselves. Throw them under the bus.
You can understand it though, because every player I've ever spoken to who's played for the Barbarians said it's the highlight of their career in terms of just how much fun it was. All of the Welsh players, they loved it, just that whole ethos and doing what you like. It was the wrong time to do it, wasn't it, with all of that?
It's a good point from Chief's girl. Can you imagine it's your first time selected for the baa-baas? There's possibly a chance you'll never, ever get selected again, and you did the right thing, Chief's girl says there. Imagine how you were feeling. I think it's probably duty bound by the baa-baas to pick those guys again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
Straight in. Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah, I just can't believe they didn't think about it. I don't know where their heads must have been at. I don't like they've never done that on purpose. They've not really thought about it, I guess. But why we do dumb things.
And that's the weirdest bit to me. I was thinking about this afterwards and going, like,
I would have been in the middle.
Yeah, did not get the call. You were close. You were close. But yeah, the pod WhatsApp group when that news came out was going, Dino, no drinking, no drinking.
Yeah, you could be in.
Yeah.
But genuinely, that's the bit that doesn't make sense to me either. Going like, did no one somehow the group? You know the way it's a group mentality. The group justified it to itself, and to me, that's fascinating. It really is.
It's odd, isn't it?
But I don't know.
Yeah,
it's funny when things like this happen that the coaches never get mentioned, do they?
It's true. Yeah.
Is there something you want to share with us?
No, just any idea who the management team were?
Not going there.
No, it's not worth it.
Threw it out there. Nobody took the
moment. I want to go to court.
But the thing I don't get is every Pro 14 player is doing that week in, week out. So I don't quite understand how somehow the rules are different. I guess there's maybe more on the line, but Pro 14 teams are going home to their families and being as exposed as everyone during the week. So sort of
bringing an iron fist to the barber.
New regime.
You are right, though, Dean. It's and they've the bubble is everything now in rugby. It's as important as anything on the field, isn't it? Making sure you're COVID safe, and I don't know. It's done now anyway. And they've
just ruined.
Well, they've become a quiz question, haven't they? All of them.
A little bit, and it's really unfortunate, as you say, for a lot of people who did the right thing and didn't get done. It's James O'Brien. It's as well. McFadden was one of the lads.
Not showing up for a session.
Yeah,
I think Dino's right. I think at the end of the day, the world we're living in at the moment is not the normal world that we live in. The baa-baas regularly is not, unfortunately, that weak, and it's got probably a little bit confused, miscommunication. It's really unfortunate all around because, of course, those guys who didn't go out, they've been punished. And then you got to think of England. England wanted that warm-up game going into the Italy game this week. It's a massive game. They were without a game. Those guys are trained all week, stuck in their hotel, getting ready for a game, which never happened. So it's a shame, and I think it's just an unfortunate situation. Let's keep it at that and move on.
Yeah, I agree.
I'd go harder than unfortunate, but I'd say my feelings fairly clear. So going on to next weekend, so we had Wales-Scotland is going to happen. There will be a game of rugby. I don't think we need to spend too much time on this other than Alun Wyn Jones. Right?
No, yeah.
149.
So, yeah, that's it. That's the big thing about that game. Am I being too glib about that, Sean?
No, I looked at the list, right, and Dean, you would know, playing international rugby, how hard it is, to get into international rugby and then have longevity in the career. So he goes to 149 on Saturday. I looked on the list of who's still playing because I was thinking who could possibly overtake him. Honestly, boys, you're looking at somebody like Michael Hooper, might have 3-4 years in him. The way he plays, probably not, but he's on 92, something like that. He's 50 caps behind Alun Wyn, who's probably got another 10, maybe 20 in him.
Yeah.
You think, my goodness, what an achievement.
People don't barely play that many rugby games in their professional life, let alone at the top level. I saw Albie Matheson wrote something to a fan the other day on Instagram and saying that longevity is the best skill, or staying fit or something is the best skill you can have. It doesn't matter all the other awesome things you can do. The ability to be on the field week in, week out is just what coaches want, and it's to do that at that level. What a freak!
And you think of McCaw and Alun Wyn Jones and the way they've played the game. It's not like they're dancing around on the wing waiting for a cheeky little try. They are in the mixer flat out, aren't they? I
was trying to think. So I coached Al for maybe nearly 10 years, right? And I tried to think of there wasn't a long period that he was out. He had an injury once in training. I think it was Brent Cobain landed on his foot, and his big toe, the top joint of his big toe, was at right angles. It gone like that, right? I don't recall him being out, mind. I think I took a photo of it as well. I got it somewhere.
Just slipped them back in and jogged on.
knock it back in, that'd be all right. So for a coach, as Dean says, that it's just invaluable, and he's in a position where he gets bashed every week. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I've said it before. Health is a skill. It's something which people in a lot of sports, in their management, when they're signing players, health is a skill. It is not always a fluke that some players get injured and some people manage to stay around. Sean, what's your favourite story about Alun Wyn Jones in the Anglo-Welsh Cup?
Am I allowed to talk Anglo-Welsh Cup? Because Adam Redmond always chastises me. There's two, actually. There's two.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, they're nothing. Alun Wyn started out as a 6. I think his first cap was as a 6.
It was, yeah, I remember
and
that.
then and we started him out as a 6. His first game up in the Borders in Scotland for the Ospreys, he got a yellow card at 6. And then we played him in an Anglo-Welsh game at Bristol at the Memorial Ground, where he played 6, scored a try, but we probably realised then, he was growing beyond, he was ridiculous. It was like he was standing in horse manure. He just went boom. And the best story is the try he scored against Leicester Tigers in the final that we won the Anglo-Welsh Cup. He was brilliant that day. And there's an iconic photo of him. He goes over and he gets up and he roars and grabs his shirt. And, you knew at that point that this guy's emerged and, he is where he is. So there you go. Nothing special other than that.
And we're not talking about anything else in that game. It will happen, right? A game of test rugby. But then we get into the really interesting stuff, because we said that England go without this preparation game last weekend against the baa-baas. Now, people have different views about how real a preparation game that might be, but it still would be time on a pitch and time in camp together on match day and all that good stuff, and that counts. But they need to score points against Italy. They need to score points, because right now the table is Ireland on top with 14, England on 13, just ahead of France also with 13, and then you're into the rest. But England need to score lots, okay? And then they can really put the squeeze on that Ireland and France game later on in the day. But Paul, it's building up to be an absolute belter of a day's rugby.
Exactly, and it'll change that game in Italy, because if they spin it too much, our little friend Garbisi comes into the game then. And I'd love to see England spinning it around, because, this all forward dominant, isn't it, their platform? And if they try and score too many too early, that doesn't tend to work for England. So it could change the dynamic of everything. And then the French team, they're my favourite team in the world now after Wales, obviously. I could watch them all day.
So, Dino, to you. So what's it like when you're up against a team who has to score points, right? And you know that they're just going to be trying to put a cricket score on you?
To give you a real quick answer, it changes nothing. It's massively anticlimactic. But really, you don't ever think about that, because you're not actually going out to lose by less. You're going out there to win. It's maybe mentioned once or twice along the way, maybe identified early in the week that, hey, they need this and we should expect this. But apart from that, it's nothing really ever addressed again, and that's that pretty much.
So you wouldn't expect them to spread the ball more, or so they wouldn't change the tactic. Would they be thinking that they'll carry less narrowly?
Hang on now, right? We're getting carried away here, right? England only need to score 4 tries, in my opinion. They have to go around and throw around baa-baas, because Ireland-France is going to be a 1-score game.
Yeah, that's true. I see what you mean there.
So,
what
all they need to do is get 5 points, right? If they get 5 points, then Ireland or France have to get 5 points. Ireland, not so much because of their point difference, but they're away. So, France beating Ireland,
they need a BP.
They'll need a bonus point.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Because
they're on roughly the same, and it's in France. And let's not now take for granted that Ireland are going to go there and easily win. No, France are favourites. They've got to be in Paris. right? The way they play.
France are 4-point favourites at the moment.
There you go. There you go.
4
So
points, yeah.
I just wrote a hypothetical position down here now. If England scored 4 tries, and let's say, no disrespect, Dean, but they won by 32 points to 20.
Not my team.
Right?
Not my team.
Right. So they're going. So France will. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 7 points difference in the game either way. Ireland, France.
Yeah.
But you're looking then, it's not easy in a game where both sides have a chance of winning the championship to go and score 4 tries.
Yeah.
The defences, you take Ireland's defence, you take France's defence, I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game.
Sean, the producers appeared. Something's gone wrong.
The Wizard of Oz appears.
Some mixed opinions, yeah.
So hang on a second. No. I just one thing I love is consistency. Consistency in opinions and analysis. And last week when Sean Holley analysed France, he said, and France, meh, who knows what'll happen, because it's France. And yet this weekend, we are very, very pinpoint accurate in our prediction about France. So just asking, what has changed from last week when we were shrugging our shoulders in a friendly test match to now the Six Nations on the line? I just want to know why you're so certain.
I've seen them play. I've seen them play, and more importantly, I've seen them defend. Yeah. In a week's preparation, I saw that there's a different mindset. Sean Edwards has already brought it, and that's not going to be easy for Ireland to break down. That's why I had. And in defence, in attack, they could still. And lots of things came off for them last week, and I don't think they're going to get all their own way playing like that against Ireland, because I think they're going to be a lot more sturdy in defence and physical. And of course, Andy Farrell will know that what's coming. But in defence, Ireland's going to find it very hard, I think, to look at France and, you know, really get through them. It's going to be really exciting, but I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to be close. So that England game is going to be massive in terms of, you know, if and when they get 4 tries.
I interrupt only to push our leading talent on the show here. You know, I don't want you dropping your standards, Holly. That's why I said to you.
You're like,
only they'd had this in the US presidential election debates. Somebody just shutting in to say, hang on a second.
Hang on a sec.
Yeah. I was really impressed with France. So much so I went back and looked at the Six Nations and earlier on, and it's not that anymore. It's
not.
Hello.
Their backline for me is probably the best backline in the Six Nations. It's absolutely insane. All starting with Dupont first of all, because he's unreal. But you just work your way out there. Intermac, Feku, what's his name? Vakatawa, and Teddy Thomas on the. I mean, insane. The talent they've got there and the firepower, literally in every role. All of them can beat the man 1-on-1. They're easily the best backline in the Six Nations for me.
Yeah.
This is true. Hold the bands back together. I'm not really sure who this refers to. Let's pretend it's France, right?
Sorry, wait. Is Adam just commented good to see himself back on there?
I think so.
He's a meltdown there.
Got him.
Someone's getting out. Let's do a ready reckoner though for the day that's in it. So whether you're an English fan or an Italy fan or an Ireland fan or a France fan, here's what it means on Monday. So given the table that's in it and the points difference, if England win in Italy by 23 or less, then any Irish win in Paris would give Ireland the championship. Okay, so that makes it nice and simple.
Yeah, that's doable though.
That is doable right now. So that makes you feel, oh yeah, that's pretty good if you're an Irish fan. And then France, if you got a bonus point and English got a bonus point, France can't win the championship. That's right. That's the problem. But then if England win and they start winning by, say that the spread is 33 in the bookies, if they win by something like that, that means that Ireland would have to win by 11 if they didn't get a bonus point win in Paris. Now, some people might think that, sure, modern rugby, bonus point win in Paris, easy. Ireland have only ever scored 4 tries in Paris once.
Really?
ever, right? They have never scored 4 tries in Paris and won. That was the game a good while ago where they got absolutely mullered and then had this weird comeback.
I tell you what, they've never scored 4 tries in Paris with Sean Edwards there.
No,
that's
exactly.
A
So I think the best chance Ireland have of winning the championship is of England coming under that 23-point win, and the best and France need England somehow to not have a 4-try win.
No, not necessarily true, and because France could get a bonus point win.
They could, and they'd have to overtake a massive points difference, though.
Yeah, well.
So theirs is the big one.
So if so let's go down that road, right? So I was ignoring that. So
I reckon I could stop that because in my predictions, I'm not seeing England.
No,
lose. They're going to put 60 points on Italy.
Yeah,
and that's I love them and everything, but just from what I saw last week, an Ireland team that barely fired a shot put 50 on them.
Yeah, you're right.
If they're not putting 60 on them, I think something. I mean. Italy's done something incredible to turn around that much in a week if they're not getting done by 60. And that hurts me to say, but I feel like that's just a massive reality of where we're at the moment.
Yeah, it's really good you saying that though, because that's the reality, isn't it? The breakdown will be a nightmare for the Italians if it was like last week. It'll be a problem.
I mean, it was an issue for us at the start of the Six Nations. It was our breakdown. Still is now. I think England's Ireland clearly identified Italy's structure and Italy had no other options. Their pod wasn't strong enough to get in the game line. Going out the back, they had enough line speed to stop them getting wide. And so Italy had lots of possession, but just couldn't go forward. And England's defence and those boys, even on the Jackal, with good support and play, are super strong. So
I've just realised, Dean, that Sebastian Negri's watching this, so that's another one to add to my death list. So the Russians, and now I've got Negri on my case.
He would have gone by now, don't worry.
So when we're looking ahead to those games, I mean, so we're assuming that England are going to put a good few points on Italy, and Sean, you're not wrong. Theoretically, yes, France would then have to eat up that against Ireland. It's so unlikely to happen. But with the French backline, like if they fired and Ireland just had a really, really bad day at the office, I mean, Wales are not a bad rugby team, and France shipped a load more penalties, and yet, like, you look back at that game, it's just incredible what France did to them.
Yeah, they have that ability, as Dino says, to score quickly and not concede that many points. But you're right. England will go and win with a bonus point. You're talking about beating Ireland by 50 points, and 40, 50 points. It's not happening because they're in with a shout of the tournament, and history tells you that that's not happening. It'd have to be a real anomaly. Imagine it happened, but it's just a shame, really, that it's going to come down to that France-Ireland game, and it could end up in I don't want it to, but it could end up in like a narrow France win and England win the title.
No one wants to see that.
No, we'll be switching off. We'll be watching the 14 though. Come on.
I'm glad you said it, Dean.
Yeah, me. Well done, Dean. No one wants to see that.
So we'll see what happens. It's gonna be a riveting day's rugby, no matter what happens.
It'll be great.
So we did have some non-rugby news today, as in non-games. The Champions Cup draw was made.
Here we go. I better crack another can. Hang on.
So before we get into that, and before we get into the Melania Trump and Ospreys story, we're going to be doing, producer Adam says he'll give me an extra 5 minutes to go through any listener questions or viewer questions. So get them in if you want. He'll pick a few and we'll get to them towards the end of the show. We'll give an extra 5 minutes bonus ball for that. But yeah, the Champions Cup draw. I will not.
Yeah, he will be.
He will be. I don't understand any of it.
For those listening afterwards, the headline has just gone up on screen saying, I'll be doing the Champions Cup stuff solo. Lads, let's turn this around. What did you think when you saw the two pools for the Champions Cup today, Paul Williams?
Can I be really honest?
Yes.
I knew that you would pick through it because you've got a really good analytical brain, and I didn't even bother looking at it.
You bollocks.
I'm deadly serious because I don't know how it
Me
works. I don't know how it works. It's not that I don't care. I'm tired. I've got small kids. COVID's getting me down. I haven't got time to thumb through that Stephen Hawking level table. So I'm just going to wait for the matches to start. Then I'll know who's playing who. And then once someone's beaten someone else, I'll know who's going through. And then someone will lift the cup.
So you very wisely, in these stressful times, chosen where to apply your energy.
Yeah, totally right. If the people of the Champions Cup think I'm wasting time deciphering that, they got another thing coming.
Talking of energy, what are you drinking tonight?
Nothing. It's the new me.
Wow.
At all?
No dandelion and burdock or sarsaparilla or anything like that?
I'm now having all my daily sweetener intravenously in the morning. So just have it piped in, nutrients in the morning. And then I'm done for the rest of the day. Just have about 100 grams of that pumped into my eyes and I'm off.
So we'll rattle through this fairly quickly then. There was a draw. There's two pools of 12 teams each. It's a one-off for this season for the Champions Cup.
Right,
and
tier one.
Ignore everything that you see when you see here's a pool A and pool B because you won't know who's playing each other. Okay. Look at it alongside the tiers, you'll have a chance. So if your team is in pool A and they're a tier 1 team, which is Leinster, Bordeaux, or Wasps, then look straight for the tier 4 teams in your own pool. And if your team's Leinster, then you're looking at Dragons, Montpellier, and Northampton. The two teams that Leinster will play home and away are the teams that aren't in the Pro 14. And that means you scratch Dragons out, you play Montpellier and Northampton home and away. So look for your team in the table, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So who's your team, Paul? Look for the team.
Ospreys.
Oh, yeah.
Not in there.
Sorry. Try again.
Great start.
Okay.
Scarlets.
So we'll go to Scarlets. Okay. Scarlets are in tier 3 in pool A. Therefore, you look at the tier 2 teams in pool A.
Right.
So that's Edinburgh, Toulon, and Bath, and you scratch out Edinburgh because they play the Pro 14 alongside
Right, so you
Scarlets.
play so the boys out of your league. I understand.
Correct.
Right.
And you play them home and away. And then you shove them up. Everyone plays their 4 games, and you shove them all back into the league table again. So everyone will be played for. How many points do you have? Top 4 teams go into the quarterfinals. Bingo, bango, bongo. We're done.
Wow. Can you put it like that? That's really good, and
that's it.
It's you've done. I knew you'd be able to do that as soon as I saw it.
Why wouldn't you just put the teams in the same pool?
Because they're not. So Adam, throw up the graphic again. This only works when you really look at this, right?
I understand, but if you just group them all together, then I'm with you.
Yeah.
So if you're Toulon, then you are playing Scarlets and Sale.
Yeah,
correct.
Sale, yeah.
The pools change, and it's only when you actually write them down and you look through it, you go, this is why they haven't done pools.
Because the Champions Cup didn't publish them like that. You've arranged them like that.
No. It makes it easier to do if you do them by tier, right? And there's a longer version on the Twitter feed.
You have to put that through a machine.
Now, can I offer my defense of the Champions Cup as to why they've done it like this?
Falling on deaf ears, but go on.
I won't defend them not doing it with tiers to make it easier to understand, but why they've done it in the one pool is because you can do it over fewer match weeks. Okay? So this means you can just have 4 match days. If you did it with, like, say, 8 pools of 3, one team would have to be off every.
I see what you're saying. Right.
Okay. It's a compressed season. That's why they've done it. So that's the logic.
Right.
I don't defend it. I'm offering it so we can all understand it, slag them, and move on.
Right? Yeah, I'm not slagging them. It's a great solution. I just don't care.
Yeah. There we go. Now, something we do care about is Paul Williams' story. And I really want to hear this because I've deliberately not asked about it. How have you linked the Ospreys with Melania Trump?
All it was, I was really impressed with the Ospreys. Sean covered them earlier. Because they beat I think a really good Glasgow team. I know they had all their test players away, but if you look at the squad they put out, that they had a lot of guys in there who were current test players or players who've only just come out of that environment. And I thought it was a big win, and I've been really impressed with what Toby Booth's done down there, and particularly the signing of Stephen Myler, who I think is the best money that's been spent in that club in a long time. And then I just said that last season Ospreys winning was rarer than seeing Melania Trump smile in her husband's company, because I haven't seen her ever smile when she's around that bloke. She looks so unhappy.
Is this real Melania or fake Melania?
Exactly.
Any of them. It could be none of. Even if there's 6 of them, none of them seem that happy. He's that unpleasant that even a stand-in finds him abhorrent.
I'm really glad that you've stopped drinking your Fanta, though, because that's what happens if you drink too much Fanta.
Just go directly on it. Yeah, no, it was. I thought the Ospreys played really well, and it's a big win, man, beating that Glasgow team.
It's at least
6 Melania.
6 Melania.
Yeah. Do you know what?
It
is weird, though, isn't it? Sad. There were 7 Saddam Husseins.
Oh, minimum, I'd have said.
Minimum, yeah.
Yeah. We're very close to having an answer to, if we're looking down the barrel of 4 more years of that. Things are tough enough right now without that. My God. We'll visit that next week if we need to, and we probably will. But now this is time for some of our questions that we'll get to. One from Bua. I hope we're pronouncing that right. Speaking of former players, in your mid-30s, is it ever too late to go back playing for your local club? Does position matter? I was always a blindside winger. I don't know. Dean, you've recently retired. Would you go back playing for your local club?
Not tomorrow, but yeah, I don't know. I haven't got the itch just yet to be playing. So I think maybe a year or so out of the game, then I've got a few friends that are in my same situation who have been professional, recently retired, and they've gone down for a head out just because I think they miss it. But a lot of pent-up anger just trying to...
turn it up and Dean Buds, the opposition in the row. Like, oh, jeez.
I'd have one of those wetsuit material knee pads on, and I'd be just limping around. That'd be
I was going to say, let's face it won't be the Dean Bud that's playing Six Nations rugby and training 5 times a week. It'll be Dean Bud that spent the last 2 years on the piss. And
it'd be even heavier then. It'd be more weight.
I don't know. Talking about positions, I'll be in the front row for sure.
Don't forget there's the special Zimbabwean additives that have been doing. It'll be 2 years of those, but at stage you'll be
orange.
I may need to send in for another order and an upgrade.
You imagine turning up hungover for the second team and going, "Oh, we playing, boys? Oh, Clapham seconds. Oh, yeah, that's good. Can I only play a half? I don't feel very well. Yeah, that's fine. Who am I marking? D Bud. Say it again."
I think there's merit in the question, though. I think it is.
I mean, I'll tell you, I played my same club at Auckland was same as Isa Nethewa, who played at Leinster. You'll well know. He refused to play when he wasn't playing top grade. He refused to play for our first team and only ever wanted to play for the seconds because things were too serious. So he had his bunch of mates. They'd get on the booze before the game, like you're saying. He'd turn up and play for the seconds, and he was in prime time then. So he would have just been would have had a field day out there.
Yeah.
Jerry Collins did a few, didn't he? He played a couple of games.
He went down to Barnstable when he shouldn't have. And,
really?
Yeah, just. But there are players who maybe don't get contracts or haven't quite cut it and still mid-30s and reasonable shape. There is merit in going back then and giving back. I think that's where the question is born out of, is giving back to the club, adding value, bringing on youngsters, attracting maybe a few fans or other players. So there is merit to the question in that, and then you've got the social side. So good question. Mid-30s, people are
I'd pick that up as well, because that's how I read the question, Sean, which is that, let's say you've been in your teens and your 20s and just, you start working or whatever, and your priority shift. Okay. Some lads pick up golf. Okay. Well, maybe some lads pick up triathlon. Do you know what? Mid-30s, go back, play rugby again, find yourselves a lower junior grade where it's, you know, you get a game every week, maybe a training session, maybe not, who knows. But I tell you what, if you're a front row, teams need front rows simply to have games.
Play to
And
be
the
50.
and the older we get, the more likely we are to end up in the front row, gentlemen. That's how this works. That's how it works.
That's how this works.
T1 Down Under, as incredible player as Alun Wyn Jones is, does he start before Atoje or Ryan for the Lions? So that'll be next year, gents. Paul Williams, next year.
Right, Sean isn't going to like this, but I don't think he does currently. I think in another 12 months, there might be maybe 2 or 3 in front of him. That's my opinion.
I concur at the moment, and that's why it's so vital that Wales start playing well.
Yeah.
So, you know, he cannot be in the middle of a poor Welsh team, getting beat, getting battered. You know, if Wales are playing well, Alun Wyn plays well. He plays well all the time, don't get me wrong, but he will be invaluable on the tour.
Yes.
Much like he goes. He goes. Even if it's bloody Tony Jacklin, non-playing captain or whatever, or on the bench, or just around the environment. A lot can happen between now and then. You know, Itoji's got lucky; he's got some international rugby coming up. Otherwise, he'd be playing down in Plymouth Albion every week. You know, so there is that. But for all the reasons we spoke about Alun Wyn, he could still cut it. And if as we all know, on a Lions tour, so many injuries by the end of the tour. Even though it's a short 5-week tour, they get battered. So, you know, I take your point. You know, there's so many good younger second rows at the moment. We're spoiled for choice.
Yeah. And they all carry so well now, don't they? You see all these young locks coming through. They're all big, heavy carriers, aren't they?
Well, I think it's like Sean said earlier, like Alun Wyn Jones had as a Lucy. A lot of the locks nowadays are Lucies that just didn't quite have the complete skill set to be a Lucy, but were phenomenal, and then just get pushed in one, and there they are. They make a bloody skillful lock.
Yeah,
I want. I'm waiting for the Northern Hemisphere lock to come through that is not a ball carrier and not skillful. He's just a brute. An absolute.
Back both for
correct. Right. Next, from WRU 286, does a fully fit, informed Dan Levy replace Will Connors?
I don't think it does.
Let's go. Okay. No, that's a no from Paul.
Will Connors, and when you consider he's 6'5", which is tall for an open side flanker, there aren't many boys who play at that height and are that effective over the ball. I thought he was amazing. He was like a Dyson D11 last weekend. He got owned the floor,
sucking it all up.
He was unbelievable.
Dean, I got a question, mate. Like Levy's been out what, 18 months?
Yeah, more
18 months, and the game travels fast. You know, fitness dynamics, and all of a sudden we got this guy Connors. We saw Scott Penny earlier. All of a sudden, Josh van der Vlier we're not talking about. So now, how does Levy get to that level? Does he ever get back to that level?
I think he always need a bit of help from a coach. Hopefully you've got a coach that's got faith in you to bring you back in, really. Otherwise you don't. It's really hard to get back in. Even if whoever's got the jerseys holding on to it, they're never going to let go of it easy. So unless you've got a coach that really wants to bring you back into the fray and give you that chance, it is a very difficult road to get back in when you've got guys playing well and are in form and have no reason not to select them.
So I want to pick up that point about coaching, though, because it is very interesting to me that a player can come through at a particular time in a team's development or maybe at their own point in a career where suddenly they're that guy. They're the guy that the coach will build a game plan around, or they're the guy who will fill a spot that coach has. Okay. So what happens when that coach changes or if the plan changes? I mean, buddy, what you're getting at is a very real scenario of a player who won't have changed, same player, but the entire landscape has changed for that player.
Yeah. I mean, Sean's probably the best man to answer it because he's probably witnessed it. I mean, I know coaches in my past that have had faith in me and brought me back in after injury spouts and I've performed when they probably didn't actually need to bring me back into, but that breathed life back into my career, essentially, because they gave me that chance. If they're not willing to give me that chance, and because there's someone actually there performing, then that door's shut, unfortunately.
Yeah, we used to have a couple of terminologies for long-term injuries. You'd be a return to train, you'd be a return to play, and then a return to compete. Now you think of that, so a return to compete would be probably a return to train speaks for itself. Return to play is you're available for selection. Return to compete means you're in line for a first team call, Champions Cup, round 1 pool.
Right.
You're back. You've had a couple of games under your belt. You've proved yourself. So that says something about where your rehab has been and how your form is and how you've upskilled yourself. Because there may be a couple of slight different in 18 months in Dan Levy. Look, there's been law changes or reinforcements. The refereeing has been different. Will Connors has burst on the scene. Scott Penny's burst on the scene. The physical requirements might be different. The role of a 7 in a lineout might have changed under the new coach, Rob McBride. There's all these things to factor in. So, Dan Levy 18 months ago was the best thing since sliced bread. He was brilliant. But the landscape has changed completely in so many ways. He is a boy, it would be the same. He's probably worked his nuts off to be where he is now. And yet Connors is probably still way above him.
Yeah.
And it's no fault of Dan Levy's own. Hence, he's back at the moment to return to play, but he's not at return to compete. Do you get me?
Sean, how do you manage the social dynamic of that? Because at a very human level, you're making what can be an arbitrary decision about someone's career based on how you see them fitting into your system, or how you see them versus something else that they are not in control of.
No, but I think what you do is you put him in situations in training. He won't be stupid. The player won't be stupid. He'll understand. If he's in, for example, winning races to a tackle and then physically going one-on-one, with guys who are holding the jersey, who are right at it, he'll know, he'll understand. And that's part of the rehab process of return to compete, and return to play. And that's where you have a medical team that knows what they're doing. They're not just getting the guy back physically. They are conditioning him in a rugby sense to get back and almost training him hard in a rugby. And then you add the coach in the last 6 weeks, so that the coach is giving technical and tactical rehabilitation information with the medic. That's high level stuff. It's not just right. The physio hands him back and then he turns up to training and the coach is going, well, there's nothing wrong with his leg, but he's way off it. You have to schedule that in. So it's a very difficult process. And then you have a bit of psychology to it. A lot of coaches won't. Dean will tell you this. A lot of coaches, if you're out 12 months, speak to you once or twice in the 12 months, Dean.
Really?
The best coaches.
Some of them just boot you to the curb, really. Yeah.
There you go. Best coaches stay in touch, give you roles, give you jobs to keep you, because you feel ostracized. You feel alien to the group because you got this leg and you're not there. You're not knocking heads with the boys. It's
fascinating. So they almost like cut you loose, and if you rehab and then you come back in after.
Some coaches, but you keep them in the loop, give them a role, give them a coaching role, carry water on, be amongst the boys, run part of the session. So
that's why get your laundry, Sean. I mean, whatever needs to be done.
The coaches really need to make that effort, because technically, when you're injured, your schedules. Well, first of all, if it's a big injury, you're at home for a month and a half, probably.
Yeah.
If you've operated or whatever, but anyway, when you come back in, your schedule's completely different to the boys. So you're in the gym in the afternoon when all the boys are on the field, so you don't get any face-to-face with the boys, and it's a pretty sad little process for when you're injured.
Have you seen Ian McKinley's comment on that? Dean only talked to me once or twice a year.
Ian claims to this day that when he arrived, he came up to me. He's like, "Oh, like really excited." He's like, "Oh, so what's it like? How's things here at Benetton?" I was like, "I can't swear. It's effing shit. I'm retiring."
Oh, nice, good mood breaker.
it was our first year or midway through the year when we had this coach. I don't mind name Umberto Casalato, who was a great guy, but just his approach to rugby coaching and managing players was just not what it needs to be, and it's not at a professional level. And so I was just absolutely fed up. And Ian always tells me to this day that his first kind of interaction with me into the environment was just saying that you don't want to be here and retire. Yeah. And that was about my one and only convo I had with Ian for the next 6 months. He reckons.
That's fantastic.
That's great. Send the new boy up to Dean. He'll mind him.
Yeah.
Give him a little morale boost.
Yeah.
Shit, yeah.
One last one before we go. Chiefs girl, do you think the Springboks will have disadvantaged themselves next year for the Lions because they won't have played any test rugby since the World Cup? So a quick refresher, because there's a lot going on at the moment, a lot of rugby starting again. The Tri-Nations is back because there is no South Africa in the Rugby Championships anymore, right? So well done, Argentina. Argentina, you get a bronze medal.
Yeah, you're in.
Take that.
But serious point, Dean, there's no rugby for
they'll be huge.
Yeah.
Massive.
They will. I mean, I remember seeing a photo of them pre-Japan World Cup, and they had a long time to prepare, and they from 1 to 40, however big their squad was, just had 8 packs and biceps as big as my thighs, and I mean, there's probably no testing going on, which will add into all of that. I think they'll be athletically as ready as they can be, and yeah.
What are you saying that this is actually a plan? The Springboks play no elite rugby for like 10 months, and then they just walk out.
Yeah, there's 2 ways of looking at this.
3 giants.
I believe it 100%. Yeah.
I mean, no injuries though. That's the other way of looking at it. There'll be a lot.
I was going to say there's 2 ways of looking at this. We're off the back of a World Cup year.
For UTS.
Yeah, there's a rider. There's a caveat.
Public service announcement for those listening. Producer Adam Edmund would like me to state that Dean Butt's opinions are not those of Under the Sticks or the Pro 14.
They're 100% rumours. We heard them all as players throughout the years. We've heard of the Pierce Spears. I remember missing a test because he somehow had a dodgy heart, and so he couldn't get tested that week, and blah blah. We've heard these tests all along the way. They're very.
It's up again. It's just got worse.
It's.
Neff, call a lawyer.
Isn't it the Pro 12 now? Isn't it the Pro 12?
Bringing this to True North, there's another way. He's shut him off. He's knocked him off.
Gone buds out.
There's another way of looking at this. He's had the shepherd's crook. Is that at the end? Look, South Africa went all the way in the World Cup. Right, played a lot of games. A lot of their players are overseas, playing high-level competition. You know, this could be just what they need for a Lions tour. Right, rest, pre-season camp. All right. There's another way of looking at that. Our players, by the way, Gats has said today is liking it to Brexit talks of trying to release England players in preparation. So our guys aren't going to have the prep. Our top players have been rammed at the start of the season. Now we've had restart games. We've had domestic games, 6 Nations games, Nations Cup games, back to clubs, 6 Nations, back to clubs. In preparation, our guys are going to be battered.
Yeah.
So there's another way of looking at this. I think.
Yeah.
I think the Springboks maybe have played a decent card.
That's an annoyingly good point, Holly.
Yeah.
No, he always does it, doesn't he?
4 cans of Guinness, and I start making sense.
He's still on the ball.
Had time to think while I had my foot in my mouth.
Dan Levy will be fresh though. Oh,
yes, he will.
Okay, squad.
Sorry, Dennis Murray comes in. Last comment before we break. Does elite rugby make that much of a difference? Didn't Japan just train together for a year?
Yes,
that is actually very true because they pulled most of their players out of the Sunwolf setup and all that. But we'll wrap it there. We'll have plenty of time to talk about that. Enjoy the rugby this weekend. There's a lot of it. Okay, it's great. We didn't even mention the Premiership final. There was a lot of rain. Well done, Exeter. I'm very happy to see them do the double. Decent club, Well done. Really, really happy to see that. Well played. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining in our palaver this evening. We vaguely stuck to the script, and thank you to your questions that gave us another couple of minutes for the show. Thank you, the Guinness adorned Sean Holley. Thank you, Dean Budd. Thank you, Paul Williams, on your return. Thank you, super producer Adam Redmond, who even popped in during the show. That was Under the Sticks, brought to you by Pro 14 Rugby. My name's Andy McGeady. We will talk to you soon.
They call me cheetah, cheetah, cheetah. Ooh, cheetah, 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 cheetah. I love my cheetah, cheetah, cheetah.